Hey Archery Talk, this is Lucas, and I've got a new video series I'm working on today where I'm going to be talking to a manufacturer from the archery industry about their new bows, and then hopefully they're going to recommend one for me to test. And then I'll follow that up with an unboxing video and a review video and the final shootout and all that. And we're going to start today with Xpedition Archery. I'm joined today by Curt Headington. He's the vice president over at Xpedition, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the new lineup. Curt, how are you doing?
I am good. Thanks, Lucas. Appreciate the invite. It is, I think it was about -20 on my way in this morning. So we're just trying to stay warm, my friend.
Yeah, it is. I got a big dump of snow, so I was shoveling all morning. I'm a little on the sore side, but otherwise all right.
Well, tomorrow will be worse.
So, Curt, tell me a little bit about your brand new X Series for 2021.
Yeah, no, Lucas, we're super excited to release the X Series to the world. It's been in development for now it's almost 2.5 years. But there's three things on the X Series bows. Well, to start with, there's three bows in the X Series lineup. There's a 30-inch, a 33-inch, and a 37. So not that we're super creative with the names, but it's the X30, the X33, and the X37. All of those, for the most part, coincide with the axle-to-axle length. So I'll just give you a quick overview of the specs of each, Lucas, and then we can dive into the actual what makes the X Series and what's special about it. So I'll start with bow one. This is the 30-inch, the X30. So as you can imagine, it's close to 31 inches. It's just short of, 30 inches. It's just short of 30 inches axle to axle, 6.25-inch brace. The bow will come out of the box at under 4 pounds. If you have the dampener and cable stop and everything off it, you're closer to 3.6 pounds. So incredibly lightweight and a very compact bow for a guy, whether it's a tree stand, a mountain guy, or a blind guy. It's the most compact bow in our lineup. So that is bow one. Bow two, same concept here. So this is actually the X33. Specs quickly, 32.5 inches axle to axle, 6.5-inch brace. This bow, same thing, out of the box, under 4 pounds, strip all the dampening out of it, you'd be running right in that 3.7. So kind of I guess I'm going to call it the catch-all or in the middle as far as specs on this bow. We expect it to be our top trending bow of the year, and so far it has been. So, and then last but not least is the big brother to both of them. This is the new X37. So again, more predicated probably for target archery, or maybe even like somebody kind of looking for a hybrid crossover bow that whether they're hunting or shooting foam or shooting paper, this would be the new target bow per se in the lineup. So specs on this: 37.5 inches axle to axle, 7.5-inch brace. It'll IBO in the 330s, so it's still scooting arrows along pretty good. And it's still available. We carried over all of our target finishes from last year just because we had so many good reviews. And I don't know if it shows up here, but like this nuclear green is absolutely awesome. I mean, it really pops. So, but yeah, that's both three of the X Series lineup. So, to get into some of the specifics on what makes the X Series special, Lucas, we have three different patent pending technologies baked into the X Series bows. And in all cases, all three bows share some of the parts, some of them are unique to each other, but I'll just kind of take it from top to bottom. So the first one is the new LVR cam, or the lever cam. We were able to go out and apply for a patent because of the efficiency this cam creates. And we did it through taking a measurement or a series of measurements to prove out the lever arm ratio. It's kind of in a different zip code than anything we've done in the past and anything we've seen in the industry that we've tested against. But the super cool part of the LVR cam, other than just the efficiency piece, it's got a very unique draw force curve, Lucas, and I'll be anxious for you to get your hands on one, play with it, test it, do what you do, because it's cool. It loads early and then it stays very level across the top of the peak. and then just slowly backs off. There's a very, very modest valley. Some people would say there's no valley at all. But it's definitely a different feel, and we think it's definitely the right direction for our hybrid system.
So a question for me on the cams, as I'm
Yes.
noticing there, it looks like you've got movable draw stops, which is something I've always been a fan of, because it does let the user kind of fine tune their feel, at least their holding weight and their valley and things like that. So users will be able to make adjustments like that.
Exactly. So and I think anyone that's familiar with our line, like most of our bows are set up with limb stops, right? So two things on the cam: you still have a rotating mod, of course, that allows the full range. Like on the 30-inch, you can go up to 30 inches. But when you do that and you make the mod adjustment for draw length, of course, you have to move the limb stop accordingly to get your valley, to get your nock travel perfectly level. In a perfect world, all these bows would always be set up and tuned on a draw board, because you can take it to very, very minute changes to greatly enhance the effect of let off or just the feel. But yeah, so all of the X Series Lucas feature the new LVR cam, and that's, I guess that'd be technology one that I would touch on. Technology two would be the new ETS, energy transfer system is what ETS is the abbreviation of. That's new for this year to Xpedition, but I would actually go further and say it's new to the industry. And the reason being is we are the only manufacturer running this type of technology where we're preloading the cables with the system itself, yet it's still on a free floating roller slide. So the biggest thing, or I think the key takeaway here, and you're going to notice this right away, Lucas, when you take the bow from static to dynamic, or at rest to full draw, we have all but minimized the movement down to, I would call it less than a 32nd, or somewhere between a 32nd and a 16th, but we're barely allowing that slide to move back. But what we figured out in testing this design is we've, for all practical purposes, removed as much friction as we possibly can between the roller and the fact that you still have a free floating slide. We're just preloading the cables. We actually picked up some speed with this design, so we're pretty excited about it. And like I said, it's something that we did go ahead and apply for a patent for, because we think it's the perfect mix between Xpedition's old ATR and just a more common like cable slide system. So that's number two. Number three, of course, is the elephant in the room, and that's our new material. So Magnite is the actual trade name of the material, and Xpedition has the exclusive for this material for all things archery. So anything hypothetically today that is made in aluminum, tomorrow could be made out of Magnite. And if anyone's listening that's interested, feel free to give us a call, because we can certainly give you the specifics on that. The neat thing is it's still a forged and then CNC machined riser. So the neat thing is we have the lightweight attributes of like carbon bows, but we still have the high-end machine lines that you get, out of a machined aluminum bow. So it's kind of I would like to think it's a perfect mix, where you're not having to give up the cosmetics to have the weight reduction. All these bows are incredibly light. Side by side with some of this year's competitors, I mean, they're a full pound different if you're comparing apples to apples. So
a question, I mean, it's not really an archery related question, but more of a machining related question. With that new material, does that affect, is it harder to cut than aluminum is? Does that affect your machining costs and time to do each riser?
No, great question, Lucas. So that was one of the things that we wanted to spend. It's one of the things we spent the most time trying to understand, using the Magnite material. It actually has allowed us to enhance efficiencies when it comes to machining. So we can machine this material faster than aluminum. Now, obviously, everything goes back to dollars and cents and time on the machine and whatnot. So it's a modest change, but the material itself actually machines out easier than aluminum. So you're saving not only on tool costs and cutter time. It's a blend. It's both. So it's an incredible material. it's 30 to 35% lighter than aluminum, but it's 20% stronger. And the inherent dampening qualities of this material are quite, well, about 20 times greater than carbon if you were comparing them side by side. So it's, I don't want to call it a miracle material, but it's definitely cool. And you're going to start seeing it a lot, Lucas. It's going to pop up in other industries. I mean, there's a handful of companies that, namely their defense contractors that are making weapons. They're starting to move that direction, and there's a very large optics company that's also moving that direction for their internal components. Some of the brackets and rings and whatnot that would go with a scope system. You're going to see it popping up more and more. That name Magnite is definitely going to be mainstream here in the next couple of years.
All right, so I guess the next part of this series of videos I wanted to address is, now I wanted to kind of leave it up to the manufacturers which bow that they thought would be best suited for me, for my specs, my hunting needs, and in comparison to other bows that we're going to be shooting this year. So I guess I'll kind of give you some info, and maybe you can decide which one you think would be best for me to test out for all those reasons. So
I will certainly try.
All right, well, again, it's new, so I thought it'd be a fun thing to do. So basically, for a hunting bow, I'll be running 30 inches of draw length, and I'll probably use 70-pound limbs. For testing, I'll test everything at 70 pounds. Once I go into the woods, I'll probably drop down to 65, and I'll have whitetail almost exclusively, unless the borders and everything open up again, and I can go hunt hogs in the States at some point again, get out of this cold Canadian winters. And then mostly I'll hunt out of a tree stand for the most part. Not really ground blinds. Maybe some spot and stock, but it's almost entirely going to be tree stand for me where I am. And then that's about it. So yeah, longer draw length, I'm a taller guy and a tree stand hunter, and mostly whitetail. So I guess I thought I'd leave it up to the people that make the bows to think, well, what would be best for that guy to test?
Well, I've always been a firm believer that the beauty's in the eyes of the bow holder, Lucas. So the recommendation I'm going to make takes me back to my dealer days or pro shop days. And just as a general rule of thumb, I mean, I don't see a lot of guys with that 30-inch draw length or your height, let's just say, gravitating towards shorter axle-to-axle bows. I guess my preference or what I would refer you into for sure would be our X33, only because it kind of puts you more in the middle as far as that bow goes out to 31 inches. So it's not like you're going to be maxing it out at 30 inches and at 32 and a half inches axle to axle. It's still a pretty compact bow and dang sure lightweight. Like I said, out of the box, you're going to be under 4 pounds. Even fully set up, I'm guessing you're going to end up landing somewhere in that 5 or 5 1/4 range. So if I'm comparing that, this year to some of the other flagship models, I mean, that it may end up being a full pound lighter than some of our competitors. So although it's not as much of a value being a tree stand hunter, the weight of the bow, the guys climbing around in the mountains or putting some miles on, every ounce matters. And that's why we did what we did with the Magnite. So X33 is definitely the one I'm going to send you. We'll set it up at 3070, Lucas. It'll be making 80% effective let off out of the box. And as you know, with our limb stops or our adjustable limb stops, you'll be able to tweak it to, if you want something closer to 85, 86% or vice versa, you want to hold a little more weight and you're a pressure shooter, you can back them off a little bit and be more in the mid 70s if that's where you like it.
Yeah, typically I like to have a little more holding weight. I know for hunting wise, it's tricky because if I get stuck at full draw waiting for a long time, you'll be regretting that decision if you're at like 65%. So I'll probably hunker around somewhere between 75 and 80 for hunting would be my best guess.
Perfect. And like I said, we'll send you one. It'll be right at 80, 81. I mean, the cam system itself was designed at 70-30 and making 80% effective. So you'd be holding about 14 pounds, I think, at your full 70-30 setup. But yeah, tweak it as you see fit. I mean, at the end of the day, there's no perfect analogy on what makes it perfect for anybody. Everyone's different. And that's why we love our cam system. It's incredibly adjustable and you can fine tune it to whatever you want. So I'll be sending you the X33 for your testing for sure.
Perfect, Curt. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
And then we'll follow up with, again, when we get the bow, we'll do an unboxing, and then we'll follow up with a review and speed test, and then we'll do a shootout with whatever other hunting bows we end up getting this year. So again, thanks so much, and we'll look forward to testing that bow out.
Awesome. I'll get one heading your direction pretty sudden, Lucas. You should have it in the next 5-6 days. So
Perfect. Thanks so much, Curt.
take care.
Bye-bye.